And then we'll get into picks here, I guess. We're picking Bellator a little bit this week too. Only a couple fights on this weekend's Bellator card, but I believe that's the first time we've picked Bellator since we've done the podcast, at least.
Yes.
And the two fights we're picking are the welterweight title fight between Douglas Lima and the heavyweight Grand Prix fight between Rampage Jackson and Chael Sonnen. We'll get into the Lima Rory MacDonald fight first. It is for the oh my God, I can't speak today. It is for the Bellator welterweight championship. Lima, the current champion, Rory MacDonald looking to take it away from him. I have Rory MacDonald in this fight. I think he just brings a long career of MMA experience. He's seen a little more than Douglas Lima has in his career, and I think Rory uses that to take the Bellator welterweight championship in this co-main event.
It's kind of crazy what you can do when you go from UFC to Bellator. Rory's now in another title fight.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you were about to say something. But I think Rory wins as well. The experience, the grit he has from fighting Lawler.
Wars he's been through,
Yeah, I just think he wins. I don't know if he necessarily finishes it or goes to a decision, but I definitely think he can pull it out.
Yeah, and you said jumping from the UFC to Bellator, a lot of guys struggle when they make that jump.
Yeah.
It seems. But, I mean, a lot of those guys aren't in their prime like Rory MacDonald is.
Mm-hmm.
I think that he is just a step above most of the competition in Bellator at this point, so I definitely see him coming away with the belt.
And I don't think there's any argument that Rory MacDonald is still one of the 5 best welterweights in the world, despite being in Bellator right now. Douglas Lima, a very formidable opponent, but I think Rory MacDonald is one of the best in the world, period. So
he would be in the talks of fighting Tyron Woodley, I guarantee
absolutely.
Had he still been in the UFC.
And then the main event, after we pick this fight, I want to jump back a little bit. But Rampage Jackson will fight Chael Sonnen in the first fight in the first round of the Bellator Heavyweight Grand Prix, despite Rampage Jackson being a career 205er and Chael Sonnen being a longtime middleweight and longtime light heavyweight. I'm picking Chael in this one, although Rampage will probably go in as the bigger fighter. I think Chael is much more motivated than Rampage is at this point in his career. I think Rampage is kind of just collecting checks a little bit. And granted, I'm very biased towards Chael Sonnen. He's my favorite fighter of all time. But I think Chael gets it done against Rampage in the Grand Prix.
I think Chael wins, too, just because of his wrestling. Rampage, he just doesn't seem like the same fight. My phone just fell. He just doesn't seem like he can even come out with a win in the fight. It's been how many years since he won?
He's won in Bellator, but I mean, nothing very impressive.
I did not know that, but all right.
So I have Rampage. In Chael's last fight, I think Buju can agree with me on this. Chael stunk. He was god-awful.
In his fight before his last fight. His last fight was Vanderlei. His fight before that was Tito.
Oh, he fought Vanderlei? I didn't even know this was a thing.
He did beat Vanderlei, yes.
Did he win?
Yeah. He beat
convincingly?
Yeah. It wasn't a fantastic fight or anything, but he did win.
Oh,
he also beat Tito, but I mean,
he stunk.
He beat Tito. He didn't tap. I mean, let's be real for a second.
I think Rampage is just going to be the bigger guy, and he's going to be able to. This is the main event? So is this 5 rounds?
No, I think it's 3. Bellator doesn't have the main event as 5 rounds ruled at the UFC.
That's a good idea, because I don't think that would be a very fun 5-round fight. I think it'll be a decision no matter what, and I just think that the bigger Rampage is going to come through.
Undefeated and undisputed, Chael P. Sonnen, and the P stands for icon. Moving on. There's a lot of argument whether or not this should be the main event or it should be Lima and MacDonald. Lima and MacDonald, obviously the more... What am I trying to say here? It's
the marquee fight.
I think the two are much more skilled, and Rampage and Chael comes off as more of a novelty fight. So there's a lot of argument that Lima and MacDonald should be the main event over Chael and Rampage. What are your thoughts on that?
Brendan, any thoughts?
I'm not going to really get angry at what fight should be a co-main or main, but I feel like a title fight would be the main over, like you said, a novelty fight of 2 older, washed-up fighters fighting for the tournament. Is the tournament, right?
Yep.
But, yeah, I think a title fight would overrule that, but I'm not going to get angry about it like some fans may.
I agree. Old, washed-up fighters.
I don't think anybody would make the argument that Rampage and CHAEL are the more skilled fighters at this point in their careers. I think everybody kind of knows why they're the main event, which is they're the bigger draw, so that's why they're in that spot.
Names.
But I don't think anybody would make the argument that CHAEL and Rampage is a more skilled fight. I just think that everybody who agrees with it, I think everybody realizes why they do it. I think people who agree with it understand a little more that it's about drawing and not necessarily this deserves to be the main event. This is the best fight of the night. This should be the main event, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I gotcha. I mean, there's even fights like that in the UFC where the co-main or a couple fights down the card, everyone's like, this is like this is the fight I'm looking forward to most.
Right.
So, I mean, it is what it is. It's about bringing in the buys, or, I mean, that just viewers for Bellator.
Right.
They don't do pay-per-views, really.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I get it. I mean, I don't think Lima or MacDonald are really going to trip because they're fighting for a belt. I'm sure that they're getting paid very well.
Mm-hmm.